I remember the room first, the clink of glasses, the murmur of soft music, the way the city lights threaded through tall windows like silver veins. Our company, BrightForge Analytics, held the annual Q4 celebration in a private dining room on the 30th floor. My team sat near the middle. I kept my hands under the table, thumbs rubbing the seam of my napkin, pretending to relax. My name is Eli Park, Data Ops Lead. I'm good at staying invisible until I'm not. We'd shaved costs, boosted client retention, and shipped a machine learning tool that saved clients hours each week. I'd gone 3 weekends without seeing daylight, pushing the release through. My manager, Ryan, told me my bonus would reflect my impact. He said it with that clipped voice he uses when he wants me to do more than is fair. I believed him, though. I wanted to. When the CEO, Helena Ward, stood to speak, I sat straighter. She smiled the way a lighthouse does, steady, bright, something to steer toward. This year, she said, you carried us. People clapped. I clapped. Ryan clapped with 2 fingers against his palm, eyes elsewhere. Dessert arrived. Then Helena came table to table, asking questions, making jokes. She reached ours and turned to me, kind and direct. Eli, she said, did the bonus help? I blinked. My jaw tightened. The words left before I could stop them. What bonus? I turned my head to Ryan. The table went quiet. Crystal chimed somewhere. Ryan put on his thin smile, the one that shows no teeth. Ah, Eli's joking, he said lightly. He got it. He lifted his wine as if to toast away any question. Helena's eyes sharpened. You received it, right? She kept her tone warm, but she's a data person by training. She hears anomalies. I felt heat along my collar. I checked my bank account that morning. Rent, utilities, a modest grocery run, nothing else. No, I said. I didn't. Across the table, my teammate Priya cut a look between us. Beside her, Jamal's fork hung in midair. The CFO, Liza, sat 2 chairs down, half-turned listening. Ryan's hand kneaded the stem of his glass. He let out a soft laugh, then coughed. There must be a payroll delay. We can resolve it by Monday. Helena didn't look away. Our bonus run cleared yesterday afternoon, she said. Deposits posted by 8 p.m. Payroll confirmed. A fizz of electricity crawled over my skin. I heard myself ask, too loud, was it approved? Ryan's smile finally broke. Helena glanced at Liza, who nodded. Approved. Signed Wednesday. I swallowed. By who? Department heads, Liza said, voice even. Including yours. All eyes drifted back to Ryan. Helena placed her glass down with a soft click. Let's not derail the evening, she said. But we will look into this quickly. She lifted the moment with a practiced ease, pivoting to a story about her first year in analytics, how she once shipped a model with a column misaligned and spent a week fixing fallout. People laughed, tension thinning to a thread. But the thread was there. As Helena moved on, Ryan leaned close, voice low. You want to do this here? His breath smelled like mint and expensive whiskey. I want my bonus, I said. The one approved Wednesday. My hands shook and then steadied. I'm not a loud person, but some lines, once crossed, redraw the map. Ryan's jaw flexed. I told you we'd handle it Monday. Priya's eyes met mine, steady and worried. She slid me a folded napkin with her neat, tiny handwriting. Check payroll portal. Her pen scratched as if she could tell the truth into being. I slipped my phone under the table. The portal loaded slowly, like it knew it had secrets. A new document appeared under compensation adjustments. I tapped. 2 PDFs. 1. EOI bonus summary, team ops. 2. Reallocation approval, ops discretionary. My stomach turned. I opened the second. Approval, Ryan Cole. Reallocation, ops discretionary funds directed to recruiting needs and hardware refresh. Effective date, yesterday. I reread the note 3 times. The language was bland, the impact sharp. Attached list, names, amounts. Mine was there, struck through and relabeled as discretionary overage. Priya shot me another note, okay? I wrote back with a single word, no. The musician near the window started a soft piano cover, something jazzy meant to smooth the room. The effect was surreal. I stood to stretch, stepping away toward the corridor that led to the restrooms. Ryan stood too. "Let's talk," he said flatly, following. We stopped near a framed photograph of the skyline. "You diverted our bonuses," I said. The hallway's cool air made the words feel crisp. He tilted his head. "We had overages. You know the budget. Recruiting's in a crunch. My rent is also in a crunch." I held his gaze. "Helena signed those bonuses." He shrugged. "Approval to allocate the pool. Department heads have discretion. We've done this before." I thought about last year's adjustment that arrived 3 weeks late, shaved thin with market recalibration. I swallowed it then, trusting his next quarter will be better. "Not tonight." "Did you tell Helena?" I asked. "It's within policy," he said. "She doesn't need the noise." I stared past him at the photograph, lights streaked like comets. "You took what the team earned." He didn't flinch. He leaned closer. "Careful, Eli. You're not seeing the whole picture." His voice softened, almost gentle, his favorite trick. "We're competing with giants." I kept the headcount safe. "By cutting our pay," I said. "By lying." A couple walked past us toward the terrace, laughter echoing. Ryan kept a smile tucked away, saving it for later. "You think Helena will fire me over a reallocation?" he asked. "We hit targets." I kept the lights on. "You signed for the payout," I said. "Then you diverted it." He shrugged again, as if shrugging could file down sharp edges. "Look, this is a conversation for Monday. Don't torpedo your reputation at dinner." "I'm not torpedoing anything," I said. "I'm correcting a ledger." He paused at that, eyes narrowing. I stepped back, needing air. "We'll discuss this," he said. "Come sit down. Smile. Be smart." I walked past him. Back at the table, Helena's chair was empty. She'd moved on to the next group. Priya's brows were drawn. Jamal watched me like he could read my pulse. I slid into my seat. Priya whispered, "What happened?" I whispered back. "He reallocated the bonus pool." Jamal muttered, "You've got to be kidding." Under the table, my foot tapped. Above it, I raised my water glass to keep my hands from shaking. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of speeches and claps I didn't feel. Priya squeezed my arm once, grounding me. Jamal whispered, "If you go, we go." I nodded, grateful for something solid. As people stood to mingle, Helena drifted back. She moves like a question mark, curious, looping back to see the answer. "Everything all right?" she asked. Her voice was gentle, but she'd seen too much not to notice patterns. Ryan stepped in. "All good," he said. "Payroll flagged a delay. We'll fix Monday." I felt my mouth move before I planned it. "There's a reallocation approval signed by Ryan." I kept my tone even, like presenting a metric. Helena blinked once, slow, like taking a breath underwater. "I see," she said. She turned to Liza, who had drifted closer with the quiet glide of a CFO who always hears the tremor. "Liza!" Liza's eyes flicked to Ryan. "I saw a Q update," she said. "I didn't know who originated it." "Mine," Ryan said, smooth. "Recruiting needs." Helena nodded, as if confirming data types before a join. "We'll meet at 15, she said. "Conference room next door." She smiled at the table. "Enjoy the dessert bar." The smile didn't reach her eyes. Ryan's jaw worked. Priya's hand found mine under the table. I squeezed back. The conference room next door was glass on 3 sides. The night sat heavy beyond, the city scattering its glitter. Inside, the lights were bright, the table long and unmarred. Helena stood at one end, Liza at her right, HR head Martina at her left. Ryan took a seat halfway down, choosing a neutral distance. I hovered near the end until Helena said, "Eli, sit with us." I sat, trying to slow my breathing. Priya and Jamal waited by the door at Martina's nod. "They're part of the impacted group," I said. Helena gestured them in. Helena placed her palms on the table. "Here's what I know," she said. "I approved department bonus pools Wednesday. Payroll posted yesterday. Eli didn't receive his. There is an approval to reallocate ops discretionary." She looked at Ryan. "Explain." Ryan clasped his hands. "We had unexpected recruiting costs. We need 2 more data engineers this quarter, and our offer acceptance rate lags. I redirected discretionary funds to offers and hardware refresh. Everyone will get made whole once Q1 closes. Everyone!" Liza asked. Ops team, he said. Priya cleared her throat. Last year's made whole took months, she said softly. And wasn't whole. Ryan's look flicked toward her, a warning. Helena caught it. She didn't look away. Helena's voice stayed calm. Policy allows discretionary shifts with CFO sign-off, she said. I did not sign off on diverting approved bonuses. Did you request approval? Ryan held still for a breath. I interpreted the clause to include budget flexibility where needed, he said. That's not an answer, Liza said. Her tone sharpened like a scalpel. Did you request my approval? Ryan's jaw ticked. No, he said. Martina opened a folder. We have 3 anonymous reports about delayed or reduced bonuses in ops over 2 years, she said. All cite reallocation without clarity. Tonight appears to be a pattern, not a one-off. Heat rose in my throat. Jamal spoke, low and steady. We delivered the biggest release in 2 years, he said. People skipped weddings, missed sleep. We believe the promise. Ryan spread his hands. I've protected this team from layoffs. You want to keep your jobs? We have to be pragmatic. Helena's eyes didn't soften. Protecting the team includes paying them what they earned. She turned to Liza. Recoverability. Liza tapped her tablet. Funds were moved to a holding account flagged for outgoing offers and procurement. None yet dispersed. Freeze that account, Helena said. Effective immediately. Ryan exhaled through his nose, sharp. This is an overreaction, he said, but his voice had lost some of its oil. Helena leaned forward. It's called control. She faced me. Eli, thank you for flagging. The words hit like a hand on a shoulder, steadying. Ryan's gaze cut to me. You went around me. I met his eyes. You went around the policy. Martina set a legal pad on the table. We'll need a timeline, she said. When you learned about the reallocation, any prior instances, documents, emails, payroll screenshots. I nodded. I have the PDF portal PDFs. I can pull last year's adjustment notices. Priya added, I've tracked our trend lines for 2 years. Time to release, overtime hours, comp variance. It's not noise. Liza's mouth twitched, her version of a smile. Send me that. Ryan rubbed his temple. We're eating into a celebration, he said, as if invoking the party might rewind the clock. Helena's expression didn't shift. The celebration continues, she said. We address this now. She turned to Ryan. While we review, you're on paid leave. Ryan blinked, then laughed like he'd misheard. Helena! Effective now, she said. HR will brief you tomorrow morning. He stared at her, counting the edges of his options. Then he stood, chair legs whispering against the floor. This is a mistake, he said. He walked out past Priya and Jamal without looking at them. The silence after Ryan left felt like a pause before rain. Helena exhaled. We'll audit ops comp and discretionary movements for the last 3 years, she said to Liza. Cross with recruiting, spend, and procurement. Liza nodded, fingers a blur on her tablet. Martina looked at me. Retaliation is prohibited, she said. If you feel pressure from anyone because you spoke up, tell me. Priya lifted her hand slightly. What about the money? Helena's gaze warmed a degree. We will restore approved bonuses within 5 business days with an additional recognition grant of 5% for undue delay. Her eyes returned to me. Eli, I'm sorry. This is not how we do things. I swallowed. My throat felt raw, like I'd run. Thank you. Helena nodded once, decisive. Go enjoy the evening. Eat cake. We'll handle the rest. Outside, the music felt louder. Priya squeezed my arm again. That was a lot, she said, exhaling a laugh that trembled. Jamal grinned, relief brightening his face. You picked a cinematic moment, Eli. I didn't plan it, I said, and realized it was true. The moment had chosen me. At the dessert bar, I took a small slice of lemon tart. For the first time all night, sugar tasted like sugar, not sparks. Word spreads fast because it always does. I didn't say anything to anyone, but later, as I stood near the window with a plate of strawberries, people drifted over in 1s and 2s. A QA analyst I barely knew said quietly, "Thank you." A back-end dev murmured, "About time." It was strange, being visible. My default has always been the background, quiet, precise, comfortable with the hum of servers and the shape of a good dataset. Yet here I was, the center of a ripple. Priya teased, hero of the tart table, and I laughed for the first time that day. Helena made a brief farewell at the mic and slipped out with Liza and Martina toward the elevators. As the room thinned, I went to the terrace. The cold bit through my suit jacket, clean and sobering. The city below looked like someone had spilled a box of stars. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. This is Ryan. Don't be naive. You just made enemies. I felt the chill of the night creep deeper. Another message followed. Have fun while it lasts. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then I blocked the number. Behind me, the terrace door opened. Priya stepped out with 2 mugs of coffee, breath curling in the air. You okay? She asked. I nodded. Yeah, I lied. The weekend felt full of static. I cleaned my apartment twice. I rewired my home server because fiddling with cables can quiet a racing mind. I went for a run until my lungs burned. Still, my thoughts looped. I kept seeing Helena's careful eyes, Ryan's brittle smile, the PDF with my name struck through. Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. Dad's contact photo filled the screen. The 2 of us at a summer fair, clumsy smiles, a paper cup of lemonade in his hand. I answered. Hey, you sound tired, he said gently. My father runs a tiny hardware shop on the edge of town. He believes in honesty, sharpened tools, and showing up when you say you will. Work thing, I said. Messy. He paused. Messy like spilled paint or messy like a storm? Storm, I said. He let out a breath. You stand in it. Then you dry off. And you write down what broke, so you can fix it next time. It's how he talks, simple, not simplistic. Working on it, I said. Proud of you, he added, unprompted, as if he heard something in my silence that needed that sentence. My throat tightened. Thanks, Dad. Monday morning, HR blocked time on my calendar, 9:30 a.m., Ops compensation review. I arrived early. The conference room smelled faintly of coffee and dry erase ink. Liza had a stack of reports. Martina had a laptop open to a compliance dashboard. Helena entered last, coat draped over her arm, hair swept back like she decided to show her face to the wind and see who blinked first. Thank you for coming, she said. We'll be thorough and fast. Liza started. We traced the reallocation movement. Funds were shifted to a holding account with a memo citing recruiting and hardware. No CFO sign-off. We also found 2 prior quarters with similar reclassifications. Smaller amounts, same destination. She slid a paper across to me. Summaries. I scanned the columns. Numbers always calm me. The patterns matched my gut. Micro-diversions, rationalized as operational needs, adding up to real money. Martina said, we interviewed 5 ops team members. All reports delayed or reduced bonuses. 2 referenced comments that discouraged escalation. She looked at me. Did Ryan ever warn you off raising concerns? Yes, I said. He said pushing would torpedo my reputation. Helena's jaw tightened. Document that. Liza tapped her tablet. Freeze remains in place. We can restore it within 48 hours. Helena nodded. Proceed. By noon, a company-wide email landed. From Helena, to our team, we identified irregularities in one department's year-end bonus distribution. This is unacceptable. We are correcting it now. Your work is valued and will be recognized. We are also reviewing processes to ensure this does not happen again. It was brave and clear. People forwarded it with relief. A few reacted with gifts because that's how some folks breathe on Mondays. Priya swung by my desk with a paper cup of tea. You started a storm, she said, smiling. A good one. Feels weird, I admitted. I don't like being a headline. She bumped my shoulder lightly. You're a footnote in a policy manual. That's even better. At 3 p.m., payroll pinged me. Bonus restored. Recognition grant added. Numbers appeared in my account like returning birds. I sat with it for a minute, not because I worship money, but because honesty matters, and sometimes honesty has a dollar figure attached. At 4 p.m., Helena called me to her office. The corner windows framed late winter light. A photo of her kid at a soccer game sat beside a tidy pen cup. She gestured to a chair. I meant what I said, she began. This isn't how we do things. I know, I said. That's why I said something. Her mouth twitched. We sometimes forget quiet people aren't complacent. That's on us. She folded her hands. I want to ask you something more. I nodded, curious. Operations is a spine, she said. When it goes crooked, everything hurts. Will you help us audit ops processes, comp, recruiting, procurement, not to hunt witches but to map truth? I blinked. I'm not a compliance expert. You're a systems thinker, Helena said. You see how flows connect. You ask good questions. And you have the team's trust right now. Priya would call it a quest. Jamal would call it a headache. I called it necessary. If I do, I said, I want representation from the team. Priya on metrics, Jamal on workflows. And I want transparency. We publish what we find and we fix it. Helena nodded without flinching. Agreed? She stood, a sign the meeting had edges. Also, she said, if anyone pressures you, you route it to me. Ryan texted me Friday, I said. I blocked him. That was smart, she said. HR is handling his exit process pending the investigation. You didn't hear that from me. I left her office with my heart pounding and my hand steady. The storm wasn't over, but I was learning to stand in it without shaking. We set up a war room, a modest glass cube with a whiteboard wall and a hum like a seashell. Priya drew axes and color-coded sticky notes. Jamal printed out our sprint retros and taped them in a timeline across the far wall. I opened a spreadsheet with tabs for everything. Allocations, approvals, exceptions, and a catch-all we jokingly labeled gremlins. By day 3, patterns emerged. Look, Priya said, pointing at a cluster of dates. Reallocations spike near offer deadlines. Jamal added, hardware refreshes consistently over budget by 10% in Q4. Vendors unchanged, invoices vague. I traced lines between events. Requisition requests approved the same day as coming from Ryan, I said. 2-week delay when coming from team leads. Priya frowned. Gatekeeping. Jamal shook his head. And favoritism with a stamp. We requested vendor contract copies. Procurement sent PDFs with thick black boxes over key sections. Redactions. Priya asked, incredulous. I pinged Liza. Minutes later, unredacted files arrived with a note. All sections visible to audit. We read every line. Look at this clause, Jamal said. A rush fee that's the same every time, even when nothing is rushed. I added it to Gremlins. Friday afternoon, a Slack DM popped up with an unfamiliar name. Anonymous whistle. The message was short. Check the ops drive folder or our backups. Hidden spreadsheet tracks diverted comp. I felt a prickle along my arms. I asked Priya to keep our door open. We navigated to the folder. It looked routine. Backups of routine reports, compressed archives. Inside a subfolder with a bland name, we found a spreadsheet called ADJ Notes Private. We opened it. My breath hitched. It was meticulous. Dates, amounts, initials, reasons. Some entries had notes like, promise to make the whole Q1. Do not escalate. Others read, delay communication to avoid questions during product launch. Initials appeared again and again, RC. Ryan Cole. A second set of initials, JB, appeared on a few lines. Jamal leaned in. Jordan Barnes, he muttered. Our old procurement liaison. Priya whispered, this is a map. I pulled screenshots, hashed the files, saved copies to our secure audit drive. We document everything, I said. Helena joined us 20 minutes later, eyes scanning, jaw tightening. We'll review it legally, she said. You three, take a break. Go outside. Breathe. We did. The sky was the color of dishwater, but air was still air. The following Monday, HR sent a calendar invite titled, Ops Findings Executive Review. The room felt larger with more eyes. Helena sat centered. Liza and Martina flanked her. Our general counsel, Andrea, occupied a chair with a legal pad like a shield. Priya, Jamal, and I presented. We walked through timelines, charts, and the whistleblower spreadsheet. Andrea asked careful questions that made us prove each link. It wasn't adversarial, it was disciplined. At one point, Helena paused the discussion. Priya, your analysis of overtime correlation to comp variance, this is excellent, she said. Priya flushed, proud and overwhelmed. And Jamal, Liza added, Your process maps make my finance heart sing. Jamal grinned. First time anyone said that to me. The room laughed, letting go of a fraction of its tension. Andrea recapped. We have policy violations, lack of approvals, and evidence suggesting a pattern of diverting compensation and obscuring the diversions. We have vendor irregularities. Next steps: formal notices, potential clawbacks, vendor renegotiations, and internal policy overhaul. Helena looked at us. We also have next steps for culture. We fix trust. I exhaled. We can draft recommendations, I said. Clearer approval matrices, public comp timelines, anonymized escalation channels. Helena nodded. Do it. That week turned into a work sprint unlike any other. Not frantic, focused. We drafted a compensation integrity charter that fit on 2 pages and lived in plain English. We proposed a bright line rule. Once bonuses are approved, they cannot be diverted without CFO and CEO co-signature and a published notice explaining why. We designed a dashboard that showed, in real time, where funds sat in the pipeline. No more black boxes. Priya built the first prototype overnight, sipping ginger tea and humming under her breath. Jamal created a hotline workflow embedded in Slack, routing concerns to a third-party inbox so people could speak without fear. I wrote a document I called the Ledger, a simple ritual. At the end of every quarter, the team meets for 15 minutes, and the manager reads the status of compensation items aloud, what's approved, what's pending, what's paid. Questions are mandatory. When we presented, Helena said, implement immediately. Word spread. Other departments asked for copies. HR scheduled training. The air in the office felt lighter, like a pressure front had moved on. On Friday, as people trickled out for the weekend, a small plant appeared on my desk, a snake plant with a note, for the guy who put the spine in ops. No signature. I smiled. Maybe being visible wasn't so bad. Ryan's departure announced itself in a 2-paragraph email. Ryan Cole has left BrightForge to pursue new opportunities. No mention of his contributions, no faux warmth. Corporate mercy has a tone. At lunch, the cafeteria hummed. People spoke softer than usual, as if uncertain where to place their voices. Jamal sat across from me, stirring soup he probably wouldn't finish. Do you think he'll blame you? He asked. He already does, I said. He texted me. He'll find a mirror eventually. Priya joined us, setting down a tray with a precise sandwich. We have a hiring committee meeting at 2, she said. OPS needs a new manager. My stomach fluttered. That fast? Helena moves fast, Priya said. She asked for internal candidates first. I looked at my hands. They looked the same, slender fingers, a small scar on the knuckle from a childhood bike spill, but they felt heavier with possibility. I don't think I want the role, I said. I like building things with my hands dirty. Jamal nodded. Then recommend someone who can shield builders. Priya, I said without thinking. She choked on her water, laughing. Absolutely not, she said. But I'll sit on the panel and grill them. That, I said, is perfect. The hiring panel met in a bright room with sun, slashing the table in warm stripes. HR sent 3 candidates, all internal. The first was a project manager with a knack for Gantt charts and a talent for saying a lot with very little. The second was a senior engineer who spoke in acronyms and cared about systems but not people. The third, a quiet team lead named Noelle, came with a notebook full of questions for us. What do you need that you don't have? She asked. We blinked. Protection for approved work, Jamal said. Transparent comms, Priya added. Care, I said, the word surprising me with its accuracy. Noelle nodded. Then my job would be to make the path clear, defend your time, and never touch what isn't mine. We looked at each other. Later, over coffee, we agreed Noelle. HR moved quickly, Helena signed. A welcome email went out by the end of the day. Noelle's first act as interim ops manager was small and perfect. She added 15 minutes of buffer to our daily stand-up labeled quiet questions. People used it. Things surfaced before they turned to rot. It felt like putting oil on a squeaky hinge and hearing the soft relief. Weeks passed. The storm became weather, then memory, then a page marked lessons. Bonuses arrived when they should. The dashboard Priya built lived on screens near the elevators, humming public accountability. The hotline Jamal set up got a handful of notes each week, most small, some sharp, all answered. One afternoon, Helena stopped by our war room with a new request. "We're launching a mentorship program," she said. "We want ops to anchor it. Eli, will you lead the pilot?" The word leader still sat strange on my tongue. But I thought of Dad's shop, of sharpened tools and showing up, of writing down what broke so we could fix it next time. "Yes," I said. We called it Steady Hands. It paired quiet doers with leaders who'd actually listen. Our first session filled before the email finished sending. That night, I walked home under a sky rinsed clean by rain. My reflection followed me in dark shop windows, familiar but somehow wider at the shoulders. My phone buzzed. A message from Helena. "CFO approved a modest equity grant for you, Priya and Jamal. For impact and integrity. Proud of you." I stood on the corner and laughed, joyful and loose. The city lights didn't look like spilled stars anymore. They looked like signals, blinking yes. Spring came the way it does, quietly, one tree at a time, discovering it could be green again. Ryan's shadow faded. Our team found a rhythm that was less like sprinting and more like running with good shoes. Noel secured 2 new hires without rating any future. They were good and kind and curious. During a quarterly all-hands, Helena invited employees to share small wins. People spoke about bug squashes, client notes, meetings that ended on time. She gestured toward me. "One big win from ops," she said, "was made possible by one person asking a simple question at dinner." The room clapped, a sound like rain on a tin roof, unexpectedly warm. I flushed, grateful and awkward. That night I visited Dad. The hardware shop smelled like wood and oil. He made tea in a dented kettle and handed me a mug. "You look taller," he said. "Just standing straighter," I said. He grinned. "Same thing." We talked about inventory, about a kid who came in asking for a left-handed screwdriver, about the cat that adopted the alley. We didn't talk about money. We didn't need to. Before I left, he handed me a small, heavy envelope. Inside was a brass nameplate engraved with my name. "For your desk," he said. "So you remember it's yours." Sometime in early summer, I saw Ryan on the sidewalk outside a different building. He wore a suit that looked a hair too new. He saw me. For a heartbeat, we stood as if facing a mirror we didn't want. He spoke first. "You think you won," he said. Not angry. Just tired. "I think the team did," I said. "And the company." He looked past me, toward the sky, then at the pavement. "It wasn't personal," he said. "It always is," I replied softly. "It's people's rent. Their sleep. Their faith." He swallowed. "I did what I thought would keep us afloat." "At our expense," I said. "Without the truth." He nodded once, almost a bow, then stepped away. I watched him go, feeling not triumph but a kind of clean emptiness. Some stories end not with fireworks, but with a door closing and the quiet after. Back at the office, Noel posted a new ritual on the wall. "Before you move $1, ask who it belongs to." It was simple. It was enough. That evening, Priya, Jamal, and I sat on the steps outside, sharing takeout noodles, talking about nothing and everything. The city purred. We were ordinary again, and it felt like grace. Months later, at another company dinner, this time for the end of Q2, we were in the same private room, the same tall windows, the same hum of conversation. The difference was a fiber you could feel. People laughed without looking at the door. The music sounded like music, not cover. Helena made her rounds. When she reached our table, she asked about Priya's metrics dashboard, now used by 3 departments, Jamal's hotline, more requests for clarity than complaints, he reported with a grin. And Noel's buffer time, inspired, Helena said. Then she turned to me. "Steady hands." 3 cohorts, I said. 1 mentee, just led her first release. Helena's smile softened. "Good," she said. She lifted her glass. To ask the question, I felt heat rise in my cheeks. I thought of that first night, of the clink of crystal and the line I crossed when I said, "What bonus?" It wasn't revenge. I didn't want a scalp. I wanted a ledger that matched the work. I tipped my glass back and caught my reflection in the window, a man who looked like me but steadier. The city beyond blinked steady eyes. And inside, at our table, with friends who had become anchors, I let myself believe that quiet could be strong, and strong could be kind, and that telling the truth could change the shape of a room without breaking it. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and tap the bell to get notified the moment we drop a new story, and don't forget to like the video to help others find it.